Hello, distinguished nurses all over the world. Afolabi Adun is my name, Managing Director of Hospitring. Hospitring is one of Nigeria's leading and most quality-driven nurses training firms with a commitment to excellence, professionalism, and hard work. And we just keep enhancing capacity of nurses all over the world. And today we have a certificate course for you, a nurses effectiveness course. It's a certificate course. At the end of this seminar, you'll be given certificates, all right? It has no cost implications. All you need to do is just to listen. No cost implications, no exams. Just listen. At the end of the training, the certificate will be sent to you. Once you show evidence that you listen to the end, and you can only do that by clicking on the end button. All right, so let's go straight to class. We'll be looking at personal effectiveness and job productivity. We'll be looking at emotional intelligence, tips for nurses, coping with work pressure, anger management, occupational safety tips for nurses, customer care and customer relationship management for nurses, team building and cooperation with colleagues, preventing violence against nurses at work, code of conduct for nurses, preparing for retirement, is also part of it, and that's basically what I have in stock for you, all right? Don't forget, it's a certificate course. All right, so let's start with personal effectiveness and job productivity tips for nurses. All right, as a nurse, you need to be much more effective. So I start by letting you variables for determining effectiveness of any nurse, of anybody. Number one is volume of work. How much productive work are you able to do where you're working as a nurse? Number two, quality of work. How well do you do your work? How well? How meticulous are you? How conscientious are you on your job? Next, speed of delivery. How fast are you? Are you a slow worker? Next, initiative. How independent of supervision do you work? Can you work on your own, or you always wait to be told what to do? Next, resource conservation. How much resources do you conserve in the course of doing your work? Are you that nurse that wastes materials? You waste methylated spirit. You waste plaster, you waste bandages, you just waste. You waste power, you waste time. Then you are not effective if you are like that. Then customer care. How do you treat customers? How do you treat customers? You could be the best nurse in the world. If you are not good in customer relationship management, you are still not effective. How do you treat customers? How do you treat patients? Team playing skills. Are you a team player? We look at that. Personal organization. Acceptance of correction. Is it easy for you to be corrected, or you are incorrigible? Once they correct you, you get upset, all right? And then, of course, punctuality. Are you known for punctuality to work and also to duties? So those are variables for determining nurses' effectiveness of a staff. Volume, so quantity of work, quality of work, speed of delivery, initiative, resource conservation, customer care, team playing capabilities and skills, acceptance of correction, personal organization, punctuality to work. These are things we are also concerned about. Are you known for punctuality to work and to your duties, or you're a late-coming nurse? All right? So who is an effective nurse? An effective nurse is that nurse who has the ability to do a high volume of productive work in a qualitative and safe manner with minimum supervision, within the shortest possible time with minimum resources. So to be effective, you must combine quality with volume, with resource conservation, with initiative, with speed, and then, of course, with good customer care. Vital qualities of an outstanding nurse. Vital qualities of an outstanding nurse. Number one, always punctual to work, fast in carrying out his or her work, has initiative, that means he or she knows what to do without being told, gives patient regard and respect, always neatly and presentably dressed, is hardworking and dedicated to work, relates well with other personnel, is a good team player, is proactive, he or she is proactive, has good customer care skills, is honest and sincere in all his or her dealings and actions, does more than is expected of him or her. An outstanding nurse is self-motivated, does not wait for anyone to motivate him or her, does not engage in conflicts of interest, is respectful and recognizes constitutional authority. An outstanding nurse is hardworking, is diligent, is reliable, is safety conscious at all times, is security conscious at all times, acts responsibly at all times, handles the hospital's equipment and items with caution and care, has a good maintenance culture, has a good hygiene culture, communicates clearly and effectively, is a good listener, an outstanding nurse handles customer complaints effectively, is very positive in his or her communication, does not work against the interests of the hospital where he or she works, does not defraud the hospital. An understanding nurse is not biased or partial in dealing with patients. Okay? Vital questions effective nurse must regularly ask themselves. Ask yourself these questions every time. Number one, am I doing the best and the most I can do on my job? Am I self-driven or am I externally driven? Do I have initiative? That's what it means. Am I dependable? Am I reliable? Am I diligent on my job? Am I conscientious? Am I an asset to my hospital or am I a liability? Am I adding value to the hospital? Am I making things happen? I'm watching things happen. There are three kinds of nurses. There are those who make things happen, there are those who watch things happen, and there are those who wonder what happened. Which one are you in the hospital that you work? I hope you are making things happen. Am I contributing to the progress of this hospital? And lastly, if I leave the hospital today, will my absence be felt? These are questions you must ask yourself regularly and consistently. Emotional intelligence tips for nurses. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is how well individuals identify and manage their own emotions and react to the emotions of others. It is the capacity to be aware of, to control, and to express one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Now, emotional intelligence in nursing. How can you use emotional intelligence in nursing? Number one, you use it to be able to recognize your patient's positive and negative feelings, to manage your own emotions and handle feelings appropriately, to motivate yourself and motivate your patients, to recognize the emotions in your patients and to empathize with them. And we also use it to develop the skills to manage the emotions of third parties. Because sometimes the problem is not even with the patient, it's with their relatives. They are the ones that are putting too much pressure on you as a nurse. What are the 5 elements of emotional intelligence in nursing? Number 1 is self-awareness. Number 2 is empathy, motivation, self-regulation, and then social skills. I take that again. Self-awareness, knowledge of yourself. How much of yourself do you know? Do you know your temperament? Are you melancholic? Are you choleric? Are you phlegmatic? Are you sanguine? What are your anger triggers? What are your pressure triggers? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your irritants? And so on. Self-awareness. Then empathy, putting yourself in other people's shoes. You must put yourself in the shoes of the patient. Nobody enjoys being a liability. Nobody enjoys being a patient. Nobody enjoys being in a wheelchair. So you must empathize. Don't rub it in. Don't get unnecessarily angry. I don't understand. I cannot understand why an adult should be urinating on himself. Is it deliberate? Is it not his condition that has caused that? Is it not his condition? Now you are rubbing it in. You are rubbing it in. Am I the one that made you pregnant? That I should not share the pain with you. You are rubbing it in. You are rubbing it in. You are not empathetic. Then motivation. You must motivate yourself. Don't let anybody look down on you. Don't let anybody talk you down. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. You might not have all what you want, but you are not where you started off from. You might not be where you plan to be, but you are not where you started off from. Motivate yourself. Think of your positive attributes, not your negative attributes, if any. Motivate yourself. Don't be defeated. And even if you have made mistakes, dust yourself and move on. You have tried, you have failed, no problem at all. The only thing worse than failing in life is not trying at all. I would rather try and fail than not try at all. And I have good news for you. No matter how many times you have failed, you are still better than the one who never tried. So don't let anybody talk you down. Don't let anybody demotivate you. Then self-regulation. You must be able to regulate yourself. It's called self-restraint. It's called self-restraint in Gratcha. You have to regulate yourself. Don't spend on impulse. Don't talk anyhow. Don't do things just anyhow. All right? On impulse. And then social skills. You must develop your social skills. Your ability to relate well with people. You must build your social capital. You must interact with people. Remember, you will not be in that hospital forever. Make friends on the job. Don't intimidate people. Don't bully people. Don't frustrate people. Don't annoy people. Don't be hostile. Because one day you're going to leave. And remember, you're going to need them, the people too. The table of life turns. So build your social skills. Build your social capital. Be a team player. All right? All right. Signs of high emotional intelligence. Number one, you control your feelings and emotions. You see criticism positively and you benefit from them. You show authenticity. You demonstrate empathy. You appreciate and praise others. You give helpful feedback. You apologize easily when wrong. You forgive and you forget. If you like, don't forget, but at least forgive. You keep your commitments. You help others. And then you protect yourself from emotional sabotage and emotional blackmail. Nobody to blackmail you with emotions. Don't allow that. Don't allow that. Important qualities of a high emotionally intelligent nurse. Number one, sympathetic and empathetic attitude. Number two, friendliness, sense of humor, patience, objectivity, sincerity, tact, fairness, tolerance, innovative, intuitive, discerning, and good communication and documentation skills. Those are qualities of a high emotionally intelligent nurse. All right? All right. So we need to look at that. Then let's look at improving nurse-to-nurse relationship. All right? Let us relate better with our colleagues. It is important that we relate better and more patient with our colleagues. So number one, you must avoid the following in relating with other nurses: being angry or sarcastic when interacting with other nurses, being disrespectful or conceited to colleagues, being proud and arrogant when relating with colleagues, being rude or suspicious of others must be avoided. Not listening to others' opinions and suggestions. You must avoid backbiting. You must avoid bearing false witness. You must avoid pull him down syndrome. You must avoid setting people up. You must avoid all those negativity. You must avoid gossip. You must avoid trying to pull others down so that you can rise. Bearing false witness. Scheming and plotting others' downfall. Talking colleagues down to patients. You tell patients things about your colleagues, fellow nurses, that they don't need, information they don't need. You zoom in late for your shifts. It's not fair. Unforgiving spirits. Impatient with colleagues. Believing you can never be wrong. Insisting on your rights all the time. No, life is give and take. Having a selfish and self-centered attitude. Me, myself, and I. It's wrong. Refusing to trust your colleagues. Divulging confidential information to third parties is wrong. Refusing to give colleagues credit for group achievements. Uncooperative attitude, you must stop. Lateness to group or departmental meetings and engagements, you must stop. Poor communication, wrong assumptions, and jumping to conclusions. These are things you must avoid. How can I cope with work pressure as a nurse? Coping with work pressure. Learn to plan ahead because the pressure is much, I know. The nursing profession is one of the most demanding professions, especially because of the brain drain, especially in the country where I stay, Nigeria. So many hospitals are undernursed, understaffed, undernursed. So learn to plan ahead. I'm teaching you how to cope with pressure. Learn to plan ahead. 2, concentrate on the important parts of your daily activities. Resist the temptation to procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Never leave undone till tomorrow what can be done today. Write down your top priorities for the day. Have a daily action plan. Have a daily action plan. Identify your key result areas and concentrate on them. Try to multitask if you can. Don't bite more than you can chew. Don't just be accepting work you know you cannot cope with. Practice clearing your mind before you work. Keep the distractions you love out of sight. Some of us, our phones distract us. So much so that we can't do it with our phones. Even when you're administering drip, even when you're giving injection, you are still answering phone. Keep your phone away from your sight. It will distract you. Have a daily action plan. And then always give allowance for contingencies. And then you must avoid time wasters. Time wasters are things that waste your time. Unnecessary gist, unnecessary arguments. Some patients that just want to engage your time. All right? Avoid that. Okay? Next, prioritize tasks. Make sure you work with priorities. Create a daily schedule. That's what I call a daily action plan again. Minimize distractions. Minimize distractions. Then streamline documentation. Don't let documentation be too bogus. Try and streamline and go to the point and use abbreviations that you know your colleagues will know. Practice effective communication. Don't be ambiguous. Don't be unclear when you communicate. Utilize your breaks wisely. All right? While you are on break, make maximum use of that time. All right? People management tips for nurses. As a nurse, you must manage people well. Number one is be patient with people. Don't get on the defensive when dealing with people. Hear them out. Don't ever give them the impression. Don't ever give the impression to people that they are disturbing you. Be objective and fair to all. Watch your body language. Watch your tone and watch your pitch. Listen more than you talk. Nurses, listen more than you talk. When you talk, repeat what you already know. But when you listen, you learn. You learn something new. You learn something new. All right? So listen more than you talk. Listen more than you talk. And when you listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Many people listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. Listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Set boundaries. Physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, time boundaries when dealing with people. Nobody should engage you unnecessarily too much time. Nobody should touch you anyhow. Physical boundaries, emotional boundaries too. Don't let anybody get emotionally attached, and you too don't get emotionally attached to your patient. Show consideration at all times. Be a considerate person. Be an empathetic person. Then put yourself in other people's shoes. See things from other people's perspective. All right? Not just your own side. Those are some useful people management tips that will help you as a nurse. Anger management. Managing your anger. Nurses, there will be things that will make you upset, make you angry. Number one, think before you speak. Be cool. Number two, be cool, be calm, be collected. We call that the 3 C's of anger management. Be cool, be calm, be collected. Watch your words and be careful what you say at this point. Because you see, when you are angry, you most likely will say what you will regret. And what's spoken can never be retrieved. Don't vent your anger on customers, on patients, no matter the temptation or provocation. Don't vent your anger on them. Don't vent your frustrations on them. Express your concerns in a responsible and objective manner. Identify possible solutions. Recover as fast as possible and move on. Escalate the matter to your superior. Don't take the laws into your hands, please. And then identify your anger triggers and avoid them. The things that make you angry, identify them and then avoid them. All right? Occupational safety tips for nurses. Wear clothes that won't interfere with movement. Protect your back at all times, nurses. Be careful. Your back is important. Prevent exposure to bloodborne pathogens. Avoid contact with chemicals likely to cause reactions. Eliminate exposure to allergens. Never touch patients' injuries with bare hands. No matter the emergency, no matter the temptation to do so, put on your PPE, your gloves. Use correct disposal of sharp and hazardous waste methods. Dispose them the right way. Don't recycle syringes. Get adequate rest between shifts. Nurses, get rest between shifts. Keep uniforms and other wears clean at all times. Avoid sharing personal items. Blade, shavers, deodorants, needles, nail cutters. Take bloodborne illness precautions. Practice proper instrument disposal. Use lifting assistant tools. Get as much sleep and rest as possible. And drink a lot of water as often as you can. And then eat as you should. What are the 4 P's of nursing? The 4 P's of nursing. Number 1, prioritize people. Number 2, practice effectively. Number 3, preserve safety. And then promote professionalism and trust. I go over that again. The 4 P's of nursing. Prioritize people. People must come first. Practice effectively. Preserve safety. And then promote professionalism. Be professional in all your doings and engagements. The 6 C's of nursing. What are the 6 C's of nursing? Number 1 is care. Number 2 is compassion. Number 3 is courage. Number 4 is communication. Number 5 is commitment. And number 6 is competence. I go over that again. The 6 C's of nursing. Care, compassion, courage, communication, commitment, competence. 6 C's of nursing. All right? Some tips on nursing documentation for you. You know, characteristics of good nursing documentation. All documentation by nurses must obey the following conditions. Number 1, must be timely. Documentation must be timely. Documentation must be accurate. Documentation must be accessible. Documentation must be complete. Communication must be legible. Documentation must be readable. And it must be standardized. I take that again. Characteristics of good nursing documentation: timely, accurate, accessible, complete, legible, readable, and standardized. Okay, I'm sure you remember the 10 rights of drug administration. The 10 rights of drug administration. Number 1 is the right drug. Number 2, the right patient, the right dose, the right route, the right time and frequency, the right documentation, the right history and assessments, the right drug approach and right to refuse, the right drug-to-drug interaction and evaluation, and the right education and information. Don't ever compromise the 10 rights of drug administration. Okay? We're making progress now. Some general work efficiency tips for nurses. To be more effective on your job, clarify anything you are not sure of. Support your team members. Manage your time and that of others well. Segment your tasks for efficiency. Develop your organizational skills. Protect yourself from contagious diseases. Develop a reputation for honesty, integrity, and transparency. Don't engage in eye service. Do your work well and as demanded. Be positive at all times. Take customer care seriously. And that will take us to customer care. Okay, sorry. Let's look at preventing and curbing violence against nurses and patients. Some common causes of violence against nurses. What are those causes of violence against nurses? Because we have cases where patients and their relatives beat up nurses, shoot nurses, strip nurses naked. Why? So these are some causes. Number 1, service system inefficiency or failure. Failure in the system. The light went up when operation was going on. The ambulance broke down when they were rushing this guy to the teaching hospital. All those things will lead to, the patients will always be looking for who they can attack. Sorry, the patient relatives. And it's you, the nurse, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Nurses' poor communication abilities could lead to violence. You don't communicate well. You just told the guy your husband is dead. Just like that. Your wife is dead. No empathy, all right. That communication might not be nice. Insensitivity. You are not empathetic. Carelessness, negligence, slow response to patients by nurses. They are ringing the bell, they are calling, the relatives are calling, you won't respond. I'm coming, don't disturb me. And then the guy dies. They're going to come after you. Nurses giving patients or relatives false information or negative information about one another. It could also lead to violence. You talk about another nurse negatively to a patient, that nurse is incompetent. That thing that is doing your son is that it is Nurse Kadiri that gave him the wrong drug. You see? And so they come after Nurse Kadiri, they come after Nurse Anne, they come after Nurse Michael. Nurses giving patients and relatives false hope. Don't give anybody false hope. Tell them as it is, but in a humane way. Because you told this guy that it's a small thing. He's not going to die. Your husband, your son will not die. Then the guy dies. For goodness sake. And then they say, but the nurse said. Bias and double standard. Nurses encouraging jumping of queues and preferential treatment will lead to violence against you. People have been on the queue from morning till 4 o'clock. And somebody just comes to your friend and he jumps the queue and you encourage that. Exorbitant and unreasonable billing by the hospital with little to show for it could lead to violence, and lack of confidentiality of patient issues by nurses. Once you begin to talk about your patients outside, about that could lead to violence against nurses. So what nurses should do to prevent violence against them? I would like to encourage you to do the following to prevent violence against you. Number 1, nurses should be more proactive than reactive. Prevent misunderstandings where possible. As much as possible, don't wait for things to deteriorate to the point of violence. Watch out for early signs of likely violence and quickly act to prevent them. Nurses should communicate clearly and effectively. Don't be vague and don't give room for misconceptions. Don't give patients or their relatives false hope. And don't promise what you cannot do or what you know will not happen. Number 5, empathize with patients, relatives, and friends when they lose their loved ones. Don't be uncaring. Don't be unemotional. Don't be too hard. It could lead to violence against you. Be seen to be professional as professional as possible. Be seen to be professional. Don't let anybody don't give room for them to say the nurse did not do what she was supposed to do. All right? So these are some things I would like you to please know. Then you must consciously watch out for anger triggers. What is an anger trigger? Something that is making somebody upset. Once you notice that this person is getting upset, change the topic or change your mode. Then you must watch your tone. Watch your tone, watch your language, watch your pitch, watch your choice of words, watch your volume. Apologize when and where necessary. It doesn't take, what some of them want is just sorry. And you'll be surprised if they turn away their anger. But some nurses refuse to apologize. Then you must take responsibility and take action where necessary. Develop and agree on a secret code known only to nurses, which once they hear that code, they will know that a person is in danger. It could be Mayday, Mayday. It could be Alcatraz. It could be Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. Because if a relative, if a nurse is being attacked and you are saying, help me, help me, help, 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 they will know, they will hit you harder and they will tell you, shut up. But when you just say, Mayday, Mayday, Bravo, Bravo, it's a code. And anybody in the hospital that hears that word, Mayday or Bravo, knows that whoever is calling that is in trouble, and then the help will come. All right? And then lastly, all right, make sure that you also are somebody that exhibits courtesy. Courtesy. All right? Don't upset people unnecessarily. Don't be proud and arrogant. All right. Customer care. We're rounding up now. Customer care. Managing the customer. I'll start by talking about the 6 pillars of customer care. The 6 pillars of customer care. The first pillar is your attitude. The second pillar is interest, action, verbal language, body language, tone of voice. Attitude. Have the right attitude. Be friendly. Be patient. Interest. Show interest. Be interested in what they are saying. Action. Take action on their complaints and on whatever it is that they raise with you. Verbal language. Be careful how you talk. Don't talk your patients down. Body language. Your body language matters. Have the right posture. Have the right demeanor. And then your tone of voice. Don't talk in an aggressive tone or rude tone. So don't forget the 6 pillars of customer care. Attitude, interest, action, verbal language, body language, and tone of voice. All right. Now, what every nurse owes his or her patients. What do you owe your patients? You owe your patients speedy service. You owe your patients courtesy. You owe your patients confidentiality. You owe your patients patience. You owe your patients consideration. You owe your patients empathy, understanding, and you owe your patients sincerity. All right? Basic customer care skills nurses must cultivate. Number 1, active listening. Number 2, clear communication, memory retention, negotiation, persuasion, and efficiency. You owe your patients those 6 things. All right? 12 characteristics of bad customer service. 12 characteristics of bad customer service. Number 1, failing to greet customers when they walk through the door. Raising your voice at customers. Not giving the customer full attention. Arguing with customers. Hanging up the phone on an angry customer. Eating in front of customers. I didn't say you shouldn't eat, but not in front of your customers. Putting a call on hold without first asking. Avoiding eye contact with the customer. Looking elsewhere when talking with him or her. Socializing with employees and other nurses when customers are present, patients are present. Forgetting to use common courtesies. No please, no thank you, no sorry, no excuse me. Yelling at customers. It's not right. Using complex and difficult to understand terms when talking to customers. You talk above them. You have to bring it down because they might not be aware of the medical term. They don't know what orthopedic is, but they know bone. They don't know what buccal cavity is, but they know mouth. They don't know what ascorbic acid, but they know vitamin C. You get that now. You get that now. Number 12. Complain about your organization to customers. Some nurses do this. You complain about your hospital to patients. It's not right. They already have their own problems. Don't add to their problems. Don't tell them your problems. Don't tell them about that you've not been paid. Don't tell them how harsh the working conditions are. The patients don't need that information. And then lastly, cheating and shortchanging customers. Cheating or shortchanging customers. Don't take undue advantage of customers. Don't cheat them and don't defraud them. All right? Specific tips for relating with customers. Be personable and connect with customers. Use appropriate language. Show that you care. Show that you care. Make customers feel important. Resolve complaints immediately. Resolve complaints immediately. Resolve complaints immediately. All right? Managing complaints. What to do and say. Handling complaints, sorry. When a complaint is made, the customer makes a complaint, what do? Number one, don't argue with the customer on the spot. Don't argue. Don't argue. Number two, get the details of the complaint. Get all the necessary information. Next, apologize to the customer on the spot, even if you think he or she does not deserve it. Don't investigate it further. Just sorry. It's not a sign of weakness. Then you promise to do something. Next one, about the problem or situation. Then you address the complaint as soon as possible. Then you check if the patient is now satisfied. You take steps to prevent a reoccurrence. Never let the same customer complain about the same thing more than once. And then you inform your superior for record purposes and to ascertain if you address the situation the right way, your HOD or whoever you report to. So that's the procedure for, all right? All right, I'm sure you know that the patient has rights, the patient's Bill of Rights. All right? So let me just review them with you. Number one, the right to relevant information in a language and manner the patient understands. Right to timely access to detailed and accurate medical records. Right to transparent billing, to full disclosure of any costs. Right to privacy and confidentiality of medical records. Right to clean, safe, and secure healthcare environments. Right to be treated with respect, regardless of gender, race, religion, ethnicity, allegations of crime ability, economic circumstances, sexual orientation. Right to receive urgent, immediate, and sufficient intervention and care. Right to reasonable visitation in accordance with prevailing rules and regulations. He has a right to decline care, subject to prevailing laws and upon full disclosure of the consequences. He has a right to decline or consent to participation in medical research. He has a right to quality care in accordance to prevailing standards. And he has a right to complain and expect satisfaction regarding services rendered. So those are the rights of the patient. Don't deny them of their rights. Don't deny them of their rights. Don't deny them of their rights, please. Important qualities important qualities of an emotionally intelligent nurse. Sympathetic and empathetic attitude. Friendliness. Sense of humor. Patience. Objectivity. Sincerity. Tact. Fairness, tolerance, intuitive, innovative, discerning, good documentation and communication skills. 12 rules of professionalism in the workplace. Once you're at work, you must exhibit the following. Always strive for excellence. Be trustworthy, be accountable, be courteous, be honest, open and transparent, be competent and improve continually. Always be ethical. Some things are morally right, but ethically wrong. Be ethical on the job. Always be honorable and act with integrity. Be respectful of confidentiality. Set good examples for your colleagues and your subordinates. Consciously add value to the hospital. And be serious-minded and conscientious. Every nurse must exhibit the following qualities. Greater sense of duty. Commitment to work. Punctuality. Respect and regard for authority. Excellence in all that you do. Presentable appearance. You are neat, you are presentable. You must take customer care more seriously. Quality service delivery. Team spirit and cooperation. Excellence in communication. Honesty and integrity. Adherence to the hospital's code of conduct. Cost reduction consciousness. And zero conflict of interest. Don't engage in conflict of interest. Don't engage in conflict of interest. Don't do anything that will go against the interest of the hospital. All right. Code of conduct for nurses. I'll just give you a few. Nurses must be punctual to work and duty. Nurses must be neat and decently dressed at all times. Nurses should not encourage unofficial visitors to come around during office hours, except in emergency situations. No property or funds of the hospital should be taken out of the premises without due authorization, no matter the justification. Number 5, rudeness to customers is totally unacceptable, no matter the provocation. Nurses no fighting or harsh exchange of words by nurses in the hospital. No stealing of hospital, patients, or colleagues' properties. No smoking or alcohol consumption within the hospital premises. No absence from duty posts without due authorization. No financial transactions on behalf of the hospital without authorization. No loitering around by nurses. Hard drugs, weapons, fetish items are not allowed in the hospital premises. Pornographic materials are not allowed in the office premises. No speaking to the press on behalf of the hospital without authorization. Please, don't do it. Regard and respect for constituted authority is non-negotiable. You must protect the interest of the hospital at all times. Do not divulge patients' confidential information to third parties. Do not engage in bias, favoritism, and double standard. Treat all customers equally. All complaints made by customers must be addressed within 24 hours. Do not keep customer complaints to yourself. Don't keep them unattended to, please. Be safety and security conscious at all times. Report any unsafe condition or unsafe act. Do not use abusive or derogatory words on your colleagues or patients. Don't talk your colleagues down. Don't talk patients down. Insubordination is totally unacceptable. Asking patients for favors and financial assistance to the detriment of the hospital's image is unacceptable. Don't ask patients, don't ask their relatives, don't ask their visitors. Defrauding the hospital is totally unacceptable. Signing the time book and supplement register is compulsory. When you get to work, you sign in. When you're leaving, you sign out. If you must leave during office hours for any private thing, you make sure you sign. That's through the supplement book. Sexual advances or sexual relationship with patients is unacceptable. Engaging in conflict of interest activities is not acceptable. Anything you do, going for private practice while you're on duty, taking the drugs, the syringes, the plaster, the things of the hospital for private use outside is conflict of interest. It's not acceptable. Diverting patients to private hospitals, to other hospitals other than yours is not acceptable. And of course, do not hold management to ransom for whatever reason. You have any issue, if it's a private hospital, you approach the management on your own. If it's a public hospital, you go to your union. Do not hold management to ransom arbitrarily, okay? Developing your communication skills as a nurse. I'm rounding up now. Developing your communication skills as a nurse. Communication is very important for nurses because wrong communication, incomplete communication could lead to wrong impression. The patient might do the wrong thing because she did not communicate well. You meant to say 2-3 times a day, say 2 times a day. That could lead to death. Your communication must be easy for the people to understand. Instead of saying buccal cavity, you can say mouth. Instead of saying orthopedic, you can say bone. Instead of saying ascorbic acid, you can say vitamin C. All these little things make a lot of difference. Communication is a transmission of an idea or feeling so that the sender and receiver share the same understanding. Understanding is the end product of communication. No matter what you say, did the person understand? That's what matters. All right? Now, communication tips for nurses. Make sure your communication is easy to receive. If you are talking, your voice must be audible. If you are writing, your writing must be legible, easy to receive. Make sure your communication is easy to interpret. The patient will be able to interpret what you have said. Easy to understand. Easy to remember. And then easy to transfer when the patient gets home. So what did the nurse say concerning, the nurse said, don't let the person get home and say, well, I don't understand what he said. I know the nurse spoke, but that means it cannot be transferred. So the 5 laws of communication, the 5 easies of communication. A nurse should ensure that whenever she communicates or he communicates, it is easy to receive, it is easy to interpret, it is easy to understand, it is easy to remember, and it is easy to transfer. All right? Now, how to talk to patients as a nurse? All right? It is important that your communication, your facial expression, eye contact, body language, gestures, use all these things. We call them elements of non-verbal communication. As a nurse, use non-verbal communication, facial expression, eye contact, body language, gesture, posture, and tone. These are very, very important. All right? And make sure you show interest in what the patient is doing by maintaining eye contact. Now, when you communicate as a nurse, do the following. Try to understand what is being said. Use easy to understand words. You can say start instead of commence. You can say end instead of terminate. You can say continue instead of proceed. Did you get that now? You can say home, where do you live? Instead of saying, where's your place of domicile? Where's your residential address? You can just say, where do you live? So break it down. Let your communication be easy. Next, exhibit courtesy. Be patient when you are communicating. Avoid unnecessary repetitions. Avoid uncommon words. Face the hearer. And then make sure you confirm understanding before they leave. After you finish talking, ask the patient, do you understand? So what did I say? How many times did I say she used the drug? What time did I say she used the drug? You get that now. You get that now. Okay? There's something called the SPAR, S-B-A-R, in communication. S-B-A-R. As a nurse, you must understand S-B-A-R. Understand the situation. All right? What is going on with the patient? That situation. B. What is the clinical background or context? That's B. A. Assessment. What do I think the problem is? That's A. Then R. Recommendation or request. What would I do to correct it? So what does SBAR stand for? Situation, background, assessment, recommendation. Situation, background, assessment, recommendation. Now, let's go to communicating with relatives. When you're communicating with patients, it's different. When you're communicating with relatives, number one, be polite. Be objective. Be sincere. Be open. Be realistic. Be empathetic. Be firm. Choose your words well. Obtain feedback. Be solution-focused. Be observant. Look out for signs of potential violence. Then communicating with colleagues. Mutual respect is important. Mutual understanding, sincerity. Choose your words well. Obtain feedback and be solution-focused. All right. Let's round up with preparing for retirement. Things to note about retirement. It is inevitable. It's inevitable. It must come one day. And I will advise you, the day you start working, start preparing for retirement. All right? It must come one day. Number two, don't be afraid of retirement. Plan for it financially and emotionally. By the time you have about 5 years left, begin to plan. Emotionally, begin to prepare yourself emotionally and financially. Think ahead. What can you do after retirement? Don't retire to stupor. Don't retire to indolence. Don't retire to the village. No. Except you are going for a good farm. Then start building your network. This is the time to start building your network. Start building your network. It's not when you retire, start looking around. Start building your network with doctors, with private hospitals, with other people, so that you will not be stranded when you leave. Start making inquiries now as to the different options available to you. What are the things I can do? Are you going to register a business? You can register it ahead now. If I want to start up this, and so on, and start making inquiries. Am I going to go and become a lecturer in a nursing school? Am I going to have a nursing home? Whatever. Start making inquiries. Then set goals and work towards achieving those goals. Then cut down on unnecessary and extravagant spending. This is not the time. You have 3 years left, 4 years left. Cut down on unnecessary spending. If you must spend on assets. Then spend on things that will yield. Develop new skills and interests. This is important. You have used your nursing knowledge all years. Now you are going into something, you are retiring. Develop new skills. Go and learn something you can do with your hands. Learn fashion designing. Learn baking. Learn catering. Learn computer. Learn digital marketing. Learn whatever. Fashion designing. Whatever. Learn new skills. Learn new skills. Limit borrowing so that you will have something to go with when you leave. Don't start taking official loans. Don't start taking too much money from the cooperative. So that when you leave, or from the organization, from the hospital, so that when you leave, you will have something to go with. And if you must borrow for assets, not for liabilities. And then lastly, get closer to God now more than ever before, because you need God more than you can ever imagine, all right? Some options to consider when you retire. Getting a job in a private hospital, setting up a home service nursing business, organizing seminars for nurses in different hospitals for a fee, setting up a nursing consultative service company that will be engaged in the following: recruiting nurses for hospitals, training nurses for hospitals, setting up effective nursing departments, and other non-medical businesses such as baking, catering, tailoring, hairdressing, buying and selling, and so on. All right? So these are things that you can also consider. All right? And then counseling in medical practice. You know, a nurse is a counselor. You must understand that. So what are the attributes of a good counselor? Patience is important. Confidentiality is important. Listening. Develop your listening skills. Empathy is important. A counselor must have empathy. You must give your patients confidentiality. It must be discerning, because sometimes what they are telling you is not really the truth. You must be painstaking. You must be fact finding. All right, you must be a fact finder, and then you must offer solution. Be a solution provider. Be an optimist. Is that all right? Different avenues for counseling. We have telephones. It doesn't have to be physical. You have face-to-face counseling. You have video. You have video conferencing. You have internet-based counseling, and so on. That comes under what we call telemedicine, which you probably treat in another seminar. So thank you so much. That's basically what I have in stock for you. I don't know if you benefited anything, but I just hope you have. Like I said earlier, this is a certificate course, but there's no cost implication. There's no monetary value, and there's even no exam. It's just a participation. That's all you need to pay. So participation. So what you do to get your certificate, look on your screen now. There's a button there. It's called subscribe. Click the subscribe button, and then click the like button. Like and subscribe. Screenshots that you've done those two. Send via WhatsApp to 080-6121-4116 via WhatsApp with your full name. Once we see the screenshot that you actually subscribed, and we see your full name, your certificate will be sent to you the following day, unfailingly. All right? And if you also want the presentation, if you also want the lecture notes, you can make a request. We'll send that to you also via WhatsApp. Once again, the phone number is 080-6121-4116. That's the phone number for you to send your screenshots of that you have subscribed, and then your full name. Thank you very much. And I'd like to say to you, nurses all over the world, keep up the good work you are doing. Nurses indeed are great. Make up your mind to be the best in your hospital. Make up your mind to stand out and be happy on your own. Don't let anybody talk you down. Don't let anybody make you feel inferior, because nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. Make something good out of your life and come back with results. Don't come back with excuses. Thank you. Afolabi Adun is the name, Managing Director of Hospitrain, and phone number 080-6121-4116. God bless you. Thank you.